So you're stuck between a brand new Mustang GT fully loaded performance package premium or a slightly used, maybe higher mileage 2018 GT350. Not this specific one, of course, but I'm just saying in general. And you're wondering, does the price of the GT350 account for the price charge over a regular Mustang? I mean, sure, it has the moniker of being a Shelby, but does that name actually add anything to it, or is it just kind of a gimmick? Well, in today's video, I'm going to break down what are the actual differences between the GT350 and, let's say, a regular 5.0 Mustang GT. And of course, we're going to talk about the obvious first, but let's go ahead and hop in this. So of course, the first thing, the biggest, I guess, difference that we can account for between this one and a regular Mustang GT is, well, that. I mean, Ford specifically created this motor for the GT350 model. And if you guys don't know by now, I mean, everybody knows what this is, but this is a 5.2 liter flat plane crank. That's the key word there, flat plane crank, naturally aspirated V8. Now, what's so special about this thing? Well, aside from being a flat plane crank V8, which means that it revs to the moon and back, it's also got a good amount of power for a naturally aspirated vehicle. So this has got about 526 horsepower factory stock, and this one doesn't have any kind of performance or anything done to it. And this motor is very special because the regular Mustang sounds pretty good. As we know, the 5.0 sounds great. It's a great sounding engine. It's very reliable and everything, but this just takes that and turns it up to 11 because, one, as I said, the flat plane crank. I mean, other vehicles that use flat plane crank are Ferrari 458s. The new Corvette Z06 has a flat plane crank. So it's very special to buy a car with a flat plane crank because it doesn't sound like anything else out there. And the fact that you could buy a Mustang with a flat plane crank V8 is just something else. But of course, that's the biggest difference. But let's move on to the kind of smaller things. So of course, another big difference between a GT350 and the regular Mustang is, well, that. Because yeah, it's a 6-speed just like the regular Mustang, but unlike the regular Mustang, this one has a much better and better refined 6-speed than the regular car does. This has a Tremec 6-speed, which, if you guys know anything about manuals, Tremec is probably, if not one of the best makers out there of manual transmissions. The regular Mustang, while it's fine for daily driving, a lot of people have experienced issues to where when they bang gears, let's say from second to third, you can break the shift lock on the shifter and literally get stuck out, or it'll lock you out of certain gears. It'll lock you out of third, out of fourth, out of fifth, just depending on how aggressively you drive the car. Not with this one, though. This one, they knew you were going to be probably beaten into hell, and they put the right transmission in it. Tremec 6-speed, and fun fact for the Tremec, Ford actually took the Tremec and put it in the new Mach 1. So if you buy a Mach 1 with a manual, you have the same transmission that's in the GT350. A Tremec 6-speed, which is probably, as I said, one of the best manual transmissions out there. You can't go wrong with it. But unlike the regular Mustang, this one you can beat it, treat it, abuse it, and it'll still be fine. So I'm not saying the regular Mustang transmission isn't good. It's fine for daily drivability or using it for normal driving. But as soon as you start beating on it a little bit way too hard, it can break the shift locks. It will lock you out of gears. This one, on the other hand, does not. But that's another thing. I guess we've talked about most of the powertrain, but obviously the exterior looks also. The Shelby does have a redesigned front bumper. It has a more aggressive front grille to allow for better cooling because, of course, they know you're going to be driving, you know, this thing on a track or whatnot. You do have carbon composite pretty much everywhere. The 500 also shares that. So it is very, very well developed. You do have special wheels just for the GT350. If you get the R, of course, it does come with the carbon fiber wheels. This one does not. And coming around here, you do get a specific rear spoiler just for the GT350. Beautiful quad tips over there, over here, which makes this car sound absolutely insane. You guys will see another video. These cars honestly sound like nothing else. I mean, I know we talked about when we talked about the engine, that the flat plane crank, but also thanks to the exhaust and the way the firing order is set up on this vehicle, it really doesn't sound like anything else. It doesn't sound exotic like a, you know, Ferrari, but it sounds just like a mean American V8 with a little exotic flair to it. But let's talk about the next feature that is over the regular Mustang. So because Ford knew that you were probably going to be taking it somewhere and, on a track and just kind of destroying the car or doing whatever you're going to do with it, of course they gave you upgraded Brembo brakes. So in the rear, we have 380 millimeter 15-inch brake rotors with 4-piston Brembo calipers. That's a big rotor. I mean, it's bigger than some economy cars nowadays. The regular Mustang has 330 millimeter 13-inch rear brake calipers with single piston calipers. Now, of course, the front is where the rear special brakes are. So now look at this front rotor. It looks insane. It's huge. This is a 394 millimeter 15.5-inch 6-piston Brembo caliper. I mean, of course you need this. I mean, if you're on a track, you're beating the crap out of the car, you're just driving it aggressively, even maybe on a nice back road or anything, you need to be able to stop. So of course, Ford, in their infinite wisdom, if they're going to build a specific track car that could destroy anything on the street and on the track, you need to be able to stop. So these brakes, massive upgrade over the regular Mustang. A lot of people actually go with these brakes when they're doing like custom Mustang builds. They will buy these brakes because these will bolt right up to a regular Mustang GT. So they buy those, they throw them on, and they call it a day. But all in all, it is an awesome car. And of course, there's other stuff that it shares. This one does have 373 rear gears. It does have a diff cooler and a trans cooler. For a manual, it has a trans cooler because, again, Ford knows what you're going to be doing with this car. They know you're going to be taking it out to the track, beating it on the street, back roads, whatever it may be. So, of course, this car is designed to perform at its best the whole way. And now, all in all, at the end, it is still a Mustang. So the interior, while it has minor changes, it is still a Mustang interior, which is not a bad thing because the S550 generation of the Mustang has a nice interior. But specific to the Shelby, of course, you do get that nice Alcantara steering wheel with leather stitching. You do get that beautiful, beautiful 8,200 RPM red line, which is, oh my gosh. You do get bucket seats specific to the GT350. These are optional. You can also get the comfort seats, which we've talked about, but of course you have to go with these because this is where this is what you should have in this car. Especially if you're going to be driving this thing on the track and everything, you want these seats. They're not the most comfortable, but they're not designed to be comfortable. They're designed to hold you in, grip you, and basically just hold you in when you're doing, I don't know, 120 miles an hour on the Nürburgring. So yeah, all in all, awesome car. Ford really did knock it out of the park. And for 2018, the original GT350 came out in 16, but for 2018 they didn't really redesign anything. It's still the same car. While the regular Mustang got a redesign, this one didn't, but it did get 3 new colors. So you have the option of Fury Orange, Kona Blue, which is an awesome color, or this Leadfoot Gray. I think this is one of my favorite Ford colors. It's very Nardo Gray Audi inspired, but it looks awesome, especially with the red GT350, the red accent somewhere. Those are not factory. Somebody had to add that, but it looks awesome. The car is a beast. And yeah, let me know down below what you guys think. Do you guys think all those features are enough for you to go and buy a GT350? I think the fact that it has a flat plane crank 5.2 liter V8 and a Tremec 6-speed manual is enough for me to justify buying this over a regular performance pack Mustang GT, because I like this. I mean, I love the way this car sounds. It puts a smile on my face every time I see one, every time I hear one, because you know what it is. This is very specific to its own thing. There's no other car out there that sounds like this. Even the regular to me, the flat plane crank, the 6-speed Tremec manual is enough to justify buying this car, because it's like nothing else. There's no other car that sounds like this. It's an absolute monster. And for me, like I said, it's enough to justify buying this over the regular Mustang GT, because yeah, while there is a price jump, it's enough for me to justify buying this car. But all in all, beautiful car. I think it's obviously a once in a lifetime thing. I don't think we're ever going to see these cars again, because everything seems to be going hybrid. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Ford does surprise us with another GT350 and a 500, but we'll just have to wait and see. But thank you guys all so much for watching. Let me know down below, would you guys justify buying the 350, or would you think you're going to go for a Mustang GT50? Let me know down below. I'll catch you guys in the next video.